Welcome back. So now I've gone ahead and created all the groups for the car, added a switch node or material node that will house all our materials, went ahead and created one standard material from our material palette. It's called metal paint. And if we just quickly go into our materials network, is just our default metal paint shader that's assigned to the body. And here's a test render. I just changed the default green to pink. Doesn't really matter, could be any color. So if we just did a quick test render, and this should be pretty quick because our render settings are normal, nothing too extravagant. Right, so going back though, what I would like to talk about is when you're creating your, or when you're organizing your assets in your modeling package, it's a really good idea, as I've said before, to name your parts appropriately. Because if you don't do that, what will happen is we'll have an example like this. Here I've assigned face numbers or primitive numbers to our groups. And if you go into your selection tool, and if you go inside this tool, there's options where you can switch how you want to select things. So if you go into 3D connectivity, this is how it knows this is one solid piece. Okay. This is not an ideal way to work. I just did this just so for the scenario of explanation. If anything were to change in this model, for example, if we took any one piece out of this structure, our primitive numbers will change. So you might lose the selection later on. So names are quite important. So if you see everything else has names by which our color has been assigned and our variables have been structured around it. So I've gone ahead and done all the grouping for the glass, okay, and the environment, so the wall, the ground, the lamps. So by the end of it, we have our environment in our scene. One other thing I'd like to change in right about now is you see how our furthest clip plane for our cameras, like going off into infinity, I'd like to bring it about here. So we're gonna do that. Try to so I think 100 should be okay. All right, so with this all out of the way, in the next section we'll start getting into materials, and this is the most exciting part of this training module, creating the look. And I will delve deep into the new way of creating materials inside of Houdini I mean, you can still use shops, but using the material network is awesome. Okay, see you shortly.